Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Thanks for tuning in for another video. This video right here is going to be on GIT Basics. So we're going to talk about how to use GIT locally in this video. As you see here, I have my prompt up, my terminal, so I am using a Mac. If you're using Windows, then I suggest you open the Windows Bash screen. So we'll get started. So first thing I'm going to do here is we're going to go into CD Desktop. So I'm going to do CD Desktop, stuff that we've already been doing in our previous videos. Now I'm going to do an ls, and we know what we have here. So I'm going to create a new directory. So I'm going to do mkdir. I'm going to call this git project. You can call it anything, but I'm going to call it this. Now I'm going to cd into git project. All right, so now I'm directly into that project. So now I have that project. Now I'm going to do, let me clear this and do an ls. We have nothing in here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a file. Okay. So I'm going to do touch readme.md, and readme.md is just, I apologize, it's just a markdown file. That's all we're going to do. And we're going to use this as an example. And we'll do something similar in class as well. Alright, so let me hit enter. And if I do an ls, I should have that file in there. So now we have our markdown file in here. So now I need to, what we didn't talk about is, we talked about how to create files in the basic terminal methods, but we didn't talk about how to open that file. So there's a couple different ways you can do it. You could do view readme.md, and you'll see the file comes in here, it opens up. You could do vim readme.md. So there's two different ways you could do. So let me, and for example, when you leave, you have to hit shift and colon. So shift and your colon, so it's the key next to L, and then you could type in a couple things. You could type in X, and that'll save your changes. Or you could do, let's say that we did this. We went to readme.md, and we wanted to exit. We do shift colon. I could do quit. Let's do it again. I have so many different things you could do. You could also do colon, and you could do WQ and an exclamation mark. And what that does is it saves your changes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do vim readme.md. We're going to add something. So in order to add something, you need to do an insert. So press the I on your keyboard now, and you will see at the end here you have insert. Now if I hit escape on the keyboard, top upper left hand corner of your keyboard, whether you're using a Mac or a Windows, it's the same thing. I'll hit escape, that disappears. So you can't add anything in here if you don't have insert in. So I'll add insert right here, and I'll put some hashtags in here. And I'll say my first Git project. Okay, so that'll be the first thing I do. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit escape, because what I need to do is I need to save this. So I'm going to do shift colon, and I'm going to do X, or you could do WQ question mark. If I do X and hit enter, what I need to do is go back into this and make sure that information's there, because we want to make sure that we save that information. So let's say that I wanted to erase something. So I have the insert in here, and I put my git project at ccac. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do escape, shift, WQ question or exclamation mark. Now I should have saved it. I'm going to go back into it. As you see here, it worked fine. So you have multiple different ways that you can save it. I showed you different ways. So now I'm going to exit. I just type quit. Alright, so now I'm out of here. Alright, so that was the first thing that we did. Alright, so let me clear my screen because it's getting messy. So the next thing that I want to work on is I'm going to type in git status. So what you'll notice here is when you type in git functions, you'll type in git. So for example, if I typed in git right now, it brings up a bunch of tutorials. It brings up, hey, you could do an add, you could do a move. It brings up all these tutorials. So I'm going to clear that because we're not worried about that. Now if I type in git status, let's see what happens. You see here it says fatal, not a git repository or any of the parent directories. And that's true because all at this point is we have created was just a folder called Git project. So when you're doing Git, you have to set up certain features to make it a Git project. So this is what we're going to do here. We're going to type in Git. We're going to do space init. What this does is initialize and sets up Git. I'm going to hit return or enter on my keyboard. And as you see here, it says initializing empty Git repository in my folder.git. All right, so now you can see we're here. So now what I'm going to do here is what this does is it says, you know what, we're ready to, it'll track anything from the parent on down. So we have that folder called Git project. Let's say that we have a folder before that and it's called Git methods or something like that, Git overall. It won't track anything from that level, it only tracks it from this level down. So what I'm going to type here is I need to get a status and see where we're at. So I'm going to type git status. All right, so perfect. So we did git status and it says we're on the branch master. So as I mentioned in class, the main branch that you start off is always the master. It's always called the master. You can have multiple branches that branch off from the master. So think of it as the main tree trunk of a tree and then everything else that branches off from that trunk. All right, so it shows here that we have an initial commit. And you'll notice here it mentions that it's untracked. What does that mean? Well, what that means is we're not tracking that file. We added a file, so let me actually pull up that folder here. So we added this file here called readme.md. All that means is we created a file, but nothing's happened. We're not tracking that file. We're not tracking in repository. So what do we do? Well, then what we need to do is type this in. We type in git space, we type in add space, and we type in readme.md. So what we're doing here is we're typing in git, which is our feature, and we're saying, hey, we need to add this to be tracked. But what do we need to add? We need to add the name of that file. And remember, it's case sensitive. You can't put lowercase. So I'm going to hit enter. It did something. So what we need to do is get used to doing git status to check the status. So I'm going to do git status. Look at this. Something new's happened. It says you have an initial commit. Changes to the committed. It says new file has been added. So what we're saying is, guess what? We just added a new file. We're now tracking this guy. So we will talk about commit. What is commit? So commit means that you're ready to push something out. You're ready to commit your message. You're ready to say, you know what? It's like a commitment of anything else. If you commit to, let's say you have a girlfriend. You want to commit to a relationship. You just started dating her. Now you're interested in becoming her boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever the case is, vice versa. You're tied into a commitment, and that's what we're doing here. We're committing something. So now we're tracking it. Now we need to make our first commit. We need to say that we're going to use this. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to type in, you're right, git commit space -m for message, and then we'll type in a message with quotation marks. We'll say first commit message and plus, and then hit enter. All right, so notice here we did that and we got master root commit. We have this information here. It says first commit message, one file change, one insertion, create mode, and it has the size of the file. Now you notice here this is like a unique ID for that commit message. Okay, now all right, so now what we need to do is, let's see here. So we did that. All right, so now what we're going to do is let's do an ls. Let's open up that readme file again. So let's do vim readme.md. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to insert, we're going to make a change to this file. Okay, so let's do an I. Come down here. Let's add a new line. And let's do, oops. The reason I'm doing the pound sign, because that means it comments it out. So I need to add another message here. Let's say adding a second line to my code. Perfect. Hit escape, colon, WQ, exclamation mark, enter, boom. So now we've saved it. Now what do we do next? Let's do git status. check the status, see what we did. See, you notice here it picked it up right away. It says something's been modified. Since it's being tracked, it knows that this has been modified. So since we know it's been modified, that's great. So we did the status. We see that's being modified. So now what we need to do is we need to add it. We need to track it. So how do we track it? We do git add readme.md, enter, do the status, enter. Now it's green. Red means we're tracking you, but we need to commit it, or we need to add it, I'm sorry. So now we've added it and it's being tracked. Okay, so now we need to add a commit message to this. So what do? We do git commit -m, add it a second line, and then enter. Boom. So now you'll see here, if I could get status again, you'll see on the branch nothing to commit. So let me get it clear real quick. So I'll show you something. So we've already did that. Now if we get status, nothing's been changed, nothing's been added. It says that on branch master, nothing to commit, working tree clean. So what this means is we didn't add anything else. We didn't add any new files or make any changes to that existing file. Okay, so now what we're going to talk about in this second part of it, we're going to talk about how to track different versions of Git. Okay, so this is important. So now we're going to learn, let me clear this screen. We're going to learn something new, git log. Okay, so this will show us our commits, a log of it, right? Now you notice here we have commit, and it has this long ID that we talked about. It says author is Jeffrey Seaman. It has my name, MacBook, whatever, date. Add a second line, and it has my first one. So what it does, it goes from descending ascending. And what that means, it goes from the latest commit message to the first commit message that we did. This is our second one, and this is our first one. Okay, so now let's say that you want to go to a previous version. Okay, for whatever reason, you want to go to the first version or another version, whatever the case is. So what we need to do is we need to do something called a checkout. We need to check that file out, you know, and then in order to do that, we need to say which one are we checking out. Okay, so what we do here is we type in git checkout. Now if I hit enter, it's not going to work because it doesn't know what to check out. So I'm going to hit enter for the heck of it. Let's see what happens. If I do git log, sorry. As you see, nothing happened. So let me do git log again. We have our messages there. You need to specify what you want to check out. So I'll do git checkout. Then what you need is you need the first 7 characters of your unique ID. Okay, so let's see how we want to do this. Okay, so let's do our first one here. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so well, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, copy that, paste it. All right, let me make sure I'm getting this right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. Now hit return. All right, now we get some type of message here. It says you are in a detached head state. You can look around, make experimental changes, and commit them. And you could discard them at any commits you make in this state. So if you want to create a new branch to retain your commits you create, you must do so. So basically, in a nutshell, what this means, so we have our main branch, right? Now we want to go back to a previous version. We can't do it in the main branch. Think of it as, think of it as your main operating system. It's your main files. So in order to make those changes, you have to kind of create a branch of it, or maybe copy it. So now what we need to do is create our own branch. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to type in git checkout. And I apologize if you hear the cat purring. There's a cat in here. She just had to be in here. All right. So git checkout -b, and then you create it whatever you want to call your branch. I'll call it my branch. So what it'll do is take all your changes and move it to your own branch and hit return. All right, so now you notice here it says switch to new branch, my branch. Because now we're on a different branch. We're not on the master branch anymore, we're on the new one that we call. So let's see if our README files in there. So let's do ls, for example. There's our README, so I'll do vim readme.md. Okay. Now, here's something you're going to notice that's interesting. Do you notice is only the first line is in here or not the second line? Why is that? That's a good question. So what happened is when we committed it, let me close out of this for a second here. When we pulled everything over, it didn't pull everything over, it only pulled the first commit. It didn't pull over other commitment messages. So what we're going to do here is we're actually just going to add a new file. Okay, so 1 second. So let's add a new file. Let's do touch. We want to add I don't know, just think of something here, py. So we're whether Python or C class. So let's do this. Let's add index, or no, let's call it this algorithm .py for Python. All right, so and then hit enter and then do a get status. All right, so now we need to add it. We'll do get add algorithm .py. Enter, do the status. Boom, we've added it. It means it's being tracked. Now we need to do a commit on that. Get commit add it, new file, get status. Now we're on the tree. All right, so now let's say that your boss comes to you and says, hey, Fred, George, Ralph, Charlie, Mike, Bob, whatever your name is, we need to, or if your name is Quincy, Catherine, Tabitha, these are very old names. So they come, your boss comes to you, whoever you are, and says that we need to go to a previous version. This is because that the code has been violated due to standards, blah, blah, blah. We need to go back. All right, so what do we do? So now what we do is we come in here and say get log. We need to check the log. All right, so let me clear this. That looks scary. All right, so now we see that we have two commits. We had add first commit message and added new file that we just added. Okay, so what do we do? Do get checkout, and then we go to those first 7 digits or whatever the case is. So let's say we want to go here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need to copy this, paste it in there. I think I got 3, 6, 7. Perfect. All right, and then hit enter. All right, so now the head is at your commit. So the head is now there. So now we got this fixed. So we add a new file. We did the get status. Now we're good. Head is detached. Means that we've down migrated that information from the other branch over here. So now we are good to go. Okay. So let me clear this. So now at this point, real quick, we talked about get status. We talked about how to track a file, how to commit a file, how to check out a file, how to switch branches, etc. And we're going to do one more thing left in this video. We're going to talk about how to add multiple files. And this is something that's very important because when you're working on a project and you have features going in, let's say that you're adding an algorithm and this other person is creating a metric, and another person's creating reports, another person's doing configuration, someone's doing connections, you get the point. There's lots of stuff going on. So best practice, instead of adding each one individually, is to add all of them at once, if that's possible. So what we're going to do here is just go to ls and see what we have here. All right, we're going to add multiple files. So we're going to do a touch. We're going to add C program files now. So we're going to do we'll call this one running.c. Then we'll say what else? Reports.c. And now we need to add one more file in here, and this one's going to be an HTML file, and we'll call it index.html, and hit. So now we've added this, and we'll hit enter. Now let's do ls. Look at that. Now we have all these files in here at once. They're all in there. So we've added multiple files. Okay. All right. So let's go into the vim readme file. So let's add a new line. All right, let's do, oops. Alrighty, let's see here. Edit multiple C files. All right, escape, colon, save, boom. All right, so now what we need to do is do git status. Shows that, look at this, it shows that the file was modified, and it also shows this. We have new files that we need to commit. So what do we do? So in order to add all of them, you're going to do git add -a and hit return. Oh geez, let's see if that worked. Look at that, git status, everything's been added. So you've added readme.md that you made changes, and you added those files there. So now we need a final commit message. Git commit m, and what? Added multiple files. Enter. Look at that. Hit detach, head, added multiple file, 4 changes, inserts, etc. Now if I do git status, nothing, it's just detach. That's it. So this right here ends this video session. This is a very good important message. It taught you how to do basic information. Next video we'll talk about puts and so forth. So thank you for listening. If you have questions, see me after class or shoot me an email. Have a good day. Talk to you soon.